Who is Iran's real leader? And when President Trump says he is talking to a respected Iranian leader, who could that actually be? That sounds like a simple question. It is not. Because in Iran, formal titles and real power do not always mean the same thing. And right now, that gap matters more than ever. As of March 23, 2026, Trump says the United States has had productive talks with what he called Iran's most respected current leader, and he specifically said it was not Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei. At the same time, Iranian state-linked sources have denied any direct or indirect communication with Washington. So before we even ask who Trump means, we have to start with one honest point. There's no confirmed public identity. But that does not mean we are left with pure guesswork. We can narrow this down using three things: Iran's political system, the people still standing after weeks of conflict, and the way US-Iran contacts have worked historically. First, the structure. Under Iran's system, the supreme leader is the top authority. This position controls broad national strategy and holds decisive authority over the armed forces and major state direction. In normal times, if you ask who Iran's real leader is, the answer is simple: the supreme leader. But these are not normal times. Following the death of Ali Khamenei, Iran moved through a period of internal adjustment before Mojtaba Khamenei was elevated into the role of supreme leader. He is now formally recognized in that position, yet Trump has explicitly said the person he is referring to is not Mojtaba. That matters, because it tells us Trump is likely talking about one of two things: either the person with the most practical control in the current crisis, or the person with the most negotiating authority that can actually deliver an outcome. Those are not always the same person. Now look at how the conflict has reshaped Iran's power map. One of the country's key political power brokers, deeply involved in security and foreign policy, has been removed from the scene. His absence reflects a broader shift, a system that is becoming more military driven under pressure. That changes who matters. So who is left? The strongest analytical answer is not a mysterious unknown figure. It is someone inside the hard power structure who can operate across political and military lines. One plausible candidate is Mohammad Bakir Ghalibaf. He is the Speaker of Parliament. He is a former commander within the Revolutionary Guard. And in a fragmented crisis environment, that combination matters. Now, to be clear, there is no confirmation that Trump is speaking to him. But if Trump refers to a most respected current leader while excluding the supreme leader and while the system is under stress, then the profile that fits best is someone like Ghalibaf, visible enough to negotiate, connected enough to power, and credible enough inside the system to matter. The second possibility is even more important. It may not be a single individual at all. It may be the Revolutionary Guard leadership as a network. Because in a Strait of Hormuz crisis, the central question is not who gives speeches. It is who controls missiles, naval units, mines, and escalation decisions. In practical terms, that authority sits heavily within the Revolutionary Guard. So when Trump says real leader, he may be referring to the people who can actually say yes or no to escalation. And this is not new. Historically, communication between the United States and Iran has often happened through indirect channels, quiet intermediaries, regional actors, back channels, not public leader-to-leader diplomacy. That pattern tells us something important. When Washington says it is talking to Iran, it is often talking to whoever can authorize movement, not necessarily the person with the highest title. So here is the analytical breakdown. The least likely scenario is a completely unknown hidden leader. There is no credible evidence for that. A direct reference to Mojtaba Khamenei is also unlikely because Trump explicitly ruled him out. What remains most plausible is this: either an IRGC linked decision-making channel or a political security figure like Ghalibaf, who sits at the intersection of influence and execution. And that leads to the key insight. Trump may not be talking to the person who is highest on paper. He may be talking to the person who can still make the system move. So who is Iran's real leader right now? Formally, it is Mojtaba Khamenei. But operationally, power is more distributed. It likely sits in a triangle: the Supreme Leader's office, the Revolutionary Guard command structure, and a small group of political security figures who translate power into action. And if talks are happening, history suggests this. The United States is not speaking to symbolism, it is speaking to leverage. Because in systems like Iran's, the person with the title is not always the person with the power. And in a crisis, power is what matters. So the real question is not just who is the leader. The real question is who can actually decide. Thanks for staying with the analysis. If you value strategic clarity over noise, subscribe to the channel for the next perspective.